Today we are going to discuss principles, rules, and ideology of colonial policy making. It is very important for you as students of public policy to study colonial policy making. By colonial policy making, I mean the policy making during the British colonial period in India, since we have been a British colony, and for a long period of time, we need to understand how British rulers would make public policy in India. Okay, the very first principle, major ideological principle of colonial policy making was civilizing mission. This was the declared mission of the British colonizers, and this meant that the British government in India wanted to control local population. That was the major principle for policy making in India. The second major principle or ideology of policy making in India related to maintain social control and order, because many colonial officials hypothesized that Indians were unruly and they were not organized, and it was very important to order them, to organize them. Okay, the third very important principle or ideology of policy making in India was to incorporate local elite or local powerful people into the policy making circles. Colonial government established its power by in collaboration or in cooperation with the local elite in India. And very important ideology of policy making was to establish superiority of the British by promoting Victorian culture through education and through incorporating local elite and local people into other areas of cultural production and bureaucratic formation. Another rule of British policy making was to bureaucratize social life. All of the aspects of social life which were previously governed by social norms or cultural practices were slowly brought into the fold of bureaucratic dispensation. Very slowly, British administration gave many powers to bureaucracy and to the officials to decide whether a social practice was right or wrong. And the last but not the least rule or principle of colonial policy making was to introduce English ideas to the Indians at a large scale. Okay, the second very important component of the ideology of policy making during colonial period was to integrate Indian economy with the international capitalistic economy. In the very first place, the colonial government has made investments in many kinds of infrastructures which enhanced agricultural produce, and this is how colonial government slowly integrated Indian economy into the colonial economy by selling this produce to many other places in Europe and elsewhere. Extraction of resources was also very important component of the colonial policy making, because colonial government was totally dependent on the revenues generated in India, and in order to integrate Indian economy into capitalistic economy, it was very important for the colonial government to extract resources in the form of raw material, in the form of revenue, in the form of labor, and in the form of ideas. So in summary, extraction of resources and social control on the pretext of civilizing mission was the two important features of civilizing of the colonial policy making in India.